Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about state and local government versus federal government. We're in our unit on North Carolina government. So this is obviously a pretty important unit because it's the government that affects you the most. So hopefully you're interested in it. So just looking strictly at the U.S. Constitution versus the North Carolina Constitution, we are kind of thinking, wow, like there's a lot less articles in the US Constitution as opposed to the North Carolina. Also, the structure is just a little bit different. Both have a preamble. The US Constitution has 7 articles and then a Bill of Rights, and then the remaining amendments, 11 through 27. So basically, our first 7 articles were the initial proposed by the framers. Then you had the Bill of Rights, 1 through 10 amendments that were required for ratification. So they're kind of a package deal. They came with the Constitution. And then you have the other amendments after ratification, pretty much. The North Carolina Constitution, as kind of is a little bit different. This is the 3rd constitution that we're on for North Carolina. I think it was ratified in 1971, so just a little under 50 years ago. And so this it starts with a preamble, just like the U.S. Constitution. It's composed of just total articles, and there's 24 of them. So it doesn't have like a Bill of Rights and amendments. Every time they amend the North Carolina Constitution, they just create another article, or they change the existing articles. So first is Article 1 is the Declaration of Rights. This is kind of like the Bill of Rights, but it's once again not an amendment. It's an article that was already there when the North Carolina Constitution was ratified. Then Article 2 is the legislative branch. Article 3 is the executive, and Article 4 is the judicial. So a little bit different because they're shifted down one, right? So the U.S. Constitution is Article 1 is the legislative branch. In the North Carolina, that's Article 2. So it kind of shifts down because of that Declaration of Rights. The rest of the articles are kind of addressing common problems or areas that might need clarification. So finance, obviously, when does the fiscal year end and start? How much should we pay people? How should money be handled because the state collects taxes? Then you have suffrage and eligibility to hold office, so voting rights, and then the ability to actually run for office. You have local government, corporations, education, and then so on, all the way down to miscellaneous, which is kind of the catch-all. All right. So the comparison is just looking at kind of the differences between the U.S. and the North Carolina Constitution. I don't think I really need to walk you through it because you can read. So I'll give you a second to look over this and I'll just be quiet. But just make sure you know that the amendment process is laid out in the U.S. Constitution in Article 5, whereas in the North Carolina Constitution, it's laid out much later. Okay, so hopefully you've had a little bit of a chance to kind of look at the two comparisons. Okay, looking specifically at the legislative branch. So this is a picture of the General Assembly down in Raleigh. And so we're going to look at it at the federal, state, and local level. So federal level, you already know this. It's called Congress. It has 2 houses. Remember that phrase, that term is bicameral, 2 houses. One is the House of Representatives and one is the Senate. And hopefully you remember that there are 435 members of the House and 100 members of the Senate. And the House serves 2-year terms. The Senate serves 6-year terms. Remember, it's with that rotating on and off. So 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election every 2 years. The state, we call the legislative branch the General Assembly. It has 2 houses, just like at the federal level. One is a House of Representatives and the other is a Senate. The difference is the House of Representatives has 120 members at the state level, and the Senate only has 50 members, so half as many senators. The House of Representatives still serves 2-year terms. They need to be at least 21, and they have to live in the district for a year. The Senate serves 2-year terms as well, but you have to be a little bit older. You have to have lived in North Carolina for 2 years and then live in your district for at least 1 year. And we call state laws statutes. So you have federal laws, and then you have state laws, which are called statutes. So I remember this because of state and statute, they both start with an S. So who represents me? Well, in our district in Carteret County, Pat McElrath is our in North Carolina House representative. She's been the representative for Carteret County for, gosh, as long as I can remember. I mean, when I was in elementary school, she was representing us. North Carolina Senate is Norman Sanderson. Now, remember, this could all change on November 3rd. Well, we won't know November 3rd, but people could vote differently. But as of right now, U.S. House, so our district in the U.S. Congress House of Representatives is Greg Murphy. And then the U.S. Senate is Richard Burr and Thom Tillis. And so this is when they joined. Obviously, they're both Republicans. I remember I was in college when Thom Tillis beat Kay Hagan out for that seat. And Thom Tillis is actually the one that's up for re-election. So he served from 2015 all the way until it'll be 2021 when he gets done. And if he is not reelected. And so he is the one that's up for reelection. Richard Burr won't be up for reelection until next term. All right. So local government is created by the General Assembly. There are 100 counties in North Carolina. And so each county has its own local government, and they each have a board of county commissioners. So these are the people that make the big decisions for each county. And municipalities are smaller units of like inside a county. So the county would be Carteret. A municipality would be like Cedar Point, Emerald Isle, Cape Carteret. And they have city councils or town councils. Like we have a town council for Cape Carteret, and they meet also as small as like the town of Bogue has a town council. And so these are people that make decisions on behalf of the town. Now, laws for the local level are called ordinances. So remember, state level is statutes, local level is ordinances.